Welcome back. Well, I'm working on my carburetor, but unfortunately I have to wait for some parts. And before I get into the video with all the tips and everything, I just want to show you why. And this is actually a tip in itself, really. So as you can see over, I have a trick kit over there for a Holley, and Holley's supposed to be the quality parts, right? So I was using most of the parts, and I got to the point where I'm going to use these main body gaskets, and they don't line up worth a shit. It's almost as if they shrank, really. Especially the screw holes, they don't line up at all. So I'm not going to use those. So for shits and giggles, I went online. I found these ones, and they have a quick fuel number on them. So I assume they're quick fuel, but they're not. They're some Chinese garbage, I guess. Now, the holes line up fairly well. I was pretty happy. Except the holes that line up on, it's kind of hard to show you here. Sorry for the jiggling around. On those dowels, on these things, they're super large, so the gasket doesn't stay in place and nothing's gonna stay lined up. They should be about this size, right? But of course, this is the Holley and they don't line up. So anyways, I'm not going to use these ones, and I read some reviews on them too where they swell up a lot because of the gasoline or maybe the ethanol content or whatever. So I'm going to not use those. I'm going to order some proper gaskets. I've used AED gaskets before and they are awesome, so maybe I'll try to find some of those, but until then I gotta wait. So that comes to the reason for this video. I just want to share some tech tips with you guys that I haven't seen online. I watched a lot of carburetor videos, but I haven't seen what I'm going to show you. So when I bought this carburetor, I was looking for something a little bigger. It's a Holley 1000 HP, which is part number 80513. And I was pretty excited to get it. I thought it was all hunky-dory, but the guy who had it before, he obviously did a lot of things. He changed the jets on it. He changed all the air bleeds. So baselining it was fun. This is the carburetor, the original main body right here. You can sort of see the part number there, I guess. Kind of won't zoom in very well. But when I took it apart, I realized he installed Holley coils in here. And that's okay if they're done correctly. But whoever did this, these used a regular hand drill to do them. And I'm not going to screw them all in. But they're not as straight as they should be. I mean, it'll work, it'll hold the fuel in and all that kind of stuff, but they're not as straight as they should be. This is just gonna drive me nuts. And if I was to drill them out again, start again, it's not gonna work as well because the holes are gonna be too big and it's gonna be a gong show. Or I can get some fancy inserts, I guess, but by the time I do all that, it's just gonna cost a whole bunch. And this is the other side. There's no Holley coils here, but whoever had it was over torquing these. And you can see how this is all raised because he over torqued everything. And that's one of the mistakes I think Holley's made over the years. These used to be just a regular slot screw, and now they're a hex socket to tighten them up. So guys are using ratchets on them and stuff and over tightening them. If they were just a regular slotted screw, they wouldn't be over tightened. So, and I think it's also due to the nylon gaskets they use nowadays instead of the paper ones. See, they like to leak if you don't tighten them pretty tight. So, but anyways, I thought I'd just go online and look for a new main body. I mean, this one's the nice zinc one. It's pretty heavy. But I found this one here. It's the exact same main body as that one. It's a replacement from Holley. It's a genuine Holley part with no part number on it. You save a little bit of weight. It's exactly the same. Same venturi diameter and all that sort of thing. So I went with this, and pretty happy with it so far anyway. Everything lines up well. But that being said, again, please stick around because I don't have a cameraman here and I'm just sort of trying to hold this with one hand and hold everything else with another. So one thing you'll find with these, I'm just trying to put a gasket on this screw, and these are the original screws. I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to put gaskets on these as well. I should have had this set up before I started, but I didn't. There we go. Oops. Oh boy. Okay, now we got it. So, and I'm not even gonna put gaskets on here. So this is the primary fuel bowl. This is the primary metering block. It goes this way, actually. Now when I put the screws in, which again it's hard to do with one hand, do that, and we're gonna do that. This is the new screws, and I'll get into those in a second, why and how I made it work. There we go. You'll see, this is the engagement without gaskets. Keep in mind there's like 2 other gaskets that have to go in here, and that's all we got into aluminum. This is my new one. So what I did, I went to Summit and I ordered these quick fuel 2 3/4 inch Holley screws. They have a weird thread on them, so you can't just buy those at the hardware store. But I'm able to get that much engagement now. It's about twice as what I had before. Now when I'm screwing into aluminum, there's a greater chance of that stripping out in the future, especially if you change jets quite often and that sort of thing, which I do once in a while. But in order to make that work, these are too long to begin with. So what you have to do is grind them down to the right length. Now that's where it gets kind of tricky, because you have to measure. You don't want this to bottom out inside of here, because this only goes so far. It's a little over 1/2 inch that you can go, but every main body is probably going to be different. And at the same time, these threads don't extend very far, so you have the potential of bottoming out right at the base there. So mine gets very close to that. I think I'm about 1.5 to 2 threads before it bottoms out there. But again, you got to play with it. And I think I could have made this maybe a tad longer, but that worked out really well. And if you come into a situation where maybe you're going to bottom out, you can always put 2 gaskets on here. But I highly suggest that. I don't know why they don't have longer screws from the factory, but this is what they have. And again, that's not a lot. And that's obviously one of the reasons, between the screws not having a slot and the screws being rather short into aluminum or even the zinc main bodies, I think they strip out because of that. The other tip I want to show you too, obviously a lot of guys will use these jet extensions, and they work great because the fuel slosh is going to push all the fuel to the back under hard acceleration. But carburetors like this, and you know, quite a few guys out there run a power valve on both sides, primary and secondary. This one comes with, you know, comes that way with the power valve on both sides. So I took that out and I put a block off power valve in there. And the reason being, it makes absolutely no sense to run these jet extensions and run a power valve, because look at where the location for the intake for the power valve is. It's above those jet holes, right? So that will become uncovered really quickly. So it's not really worthwhile having. I was going to sit here and show you the angle. You have to use your imagination, but you can certainly see the difference. So if it's a drag car or a street strip car, I wouldn't use a power valve in the secondaries. I think a power valve in the secondaries might be used in a car where you're at part throttle quite a bit, maybe some sort of circle track car or something like that. But for what I do, it's not worth it. I do recommend a power valve in the primaries. You know, that makes a lot of sense, and I won't get into that, but on the primaries it makes sense. And of course, when you accelerate, all the fuel comes up here, right? It's going to slosh into the jets and into the power valve area, so that works good. And the other tip I was going to show you, you'll notice on the primaries, I have this, well, it's a fuel bowl vent extension or a whistle. Some guys call it different things. And again, when the fuel sloshes to the back here, it keeps the fuel from going out that vent tube and up the top, and it allows the air to transfer and equalize the pressure and that sort of thing. But on the secondaries, it's a different situation. A lot of guys run them on the secondaries, and it, again, on the secondaries, it doesn't make much sense. Sorry, it goes this way. Because when the fuel all goes to the back of the fuel bowl, I'll pretend this is a secondaries, even though this is a primaries. When the fuel goes all the way to the back of the fuel bowl here, this is probably, depends on how hard you're accelerating, I guess, but this might be under the fuel, because this is going to be extending way back. If you didn't have it in place, it would be venting properly in the way it should. And again, on a car that's going to be going down a 1/4 mile and drag racing and that sort of thing, a vent like this on the secondaries isn't necessary. I mean, if you're braking a lot, you know, like some sort of circle track car or a street car of some sort, yeah, that makes sense. But on a car like this, it doesn't. So I took that out of the secondaries. So, but that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show you what I was doing for this and give you those tech tips. And hopefully we'll have a video here pretty soon again. Thanks, take care, bye.